new season here. Looking at this team, you've got a number of returners, but whether it's pitching, whether it's the lineup, what kind of excites you most about this team coming into the new season?
Well, experience coming back and last year, winning regional and super regional, and having that in your locker room, having a group of kids that have done it. That's probably the most exciting thing. Is something you can't coach, you can't teach, you can't simulate. So we got a good nucleus of guys that know what it takes to win those games.
Is this a team capable of winning it all, do you think, from the outset?
Winning it all. I mean, I think we have a chance to have a good club. Going it all and winning that last one is obviously extremely difficult. You got to be lucky, but you also got to be good. So I like this team. I think we got a lot of good ingredients. But yeah, we have a chance for sure.
Looking at the starting rotation a little bit, again, that's where you have a lot of that experience coming back, Austin and Luca. What do you see out of those guys, and have you looked at the third day starter and that sort of thing?
Well, Luca's healthy, and that's the biggest thing for us, is that he's right now he's healthy, and of course everyone knows last year and what we were able to accomplish last year without him, and being able to piece all that together. Our pitching staff, Coach Woodard did a tremendous job, and I think that helped us. That'll help us for this year. But having Luca and just looking at that kind of innings pile like we do, if we can get 100 to 110 innings out of him, that helps, and that that changes everybody else's role, as well. So, we've got Tyler Baum back, and Tyler, was forced into that Friday night role for us because of Luca's injury, and got that experience. And then we can use Austin Bergner in a lot of different ways. He came in relief for us last year, and of course had some great starts. So between those three and Caden O'Brien and Joey Lancelotti, we've got 5 guys back that pitched in some big games for us in different roles, and that's a good place to start for our staff.
Sabato had a big weekend for you guys. What kind of athlete is he, and how much of an impact does he have on this team immediately for you guys?
Yeah, Aaron's a good find for us as a freshman. He's got that unique combination of power and knowing the strike zone. And for a young hitter, it's that's pretty impressive, because most they kind of have one or the other. He really looks at the ball good. He knows a ball from a strike, at least to this point. He did all fall. Struck out on 3 times in the fall for us, and when the ball comes off his bat, it's usually hit hard. So he's a threat in there every time he steps in the box. He's extremely mature for a freshman, physically and mentally.
What's he like? Does he have like a New York edge to him, or what's he like off the field?
New York edge. Oh, be careful how I answer that. No, he's extremely mature. Nothing seems to bother him. He's got a good sense of humor. When I met with him this summer and talked to him for an hour and a half, I could tell. And I knew his family, his brother being here. They're just great people, and Aaron's just got that. He's got that it factor for a freshman. Nothing seems to bother him too much, and he's very coachable.
What does Michael Bush do best as a hitter, and how'd y'all find him all the way up in Minnesota, where he was playing hockey as much as he was playing baseball?
Yeah, Michael Bush knows the ball from a strike, which is, I think, the best trait a hitter can have, because that's priority number one. So he knows the strike zone. He hits lefties and righties, I think, equally as well. He's a threat every time he steps in the box. As he's got some power. He uses all the fields. So he's got some power in the opposite field gap. He just turned himself into a really good hitter, and I credit Scott Jackson and Scott Forrest for finding him all the way up there.
Is he one? He's one of your returners. Is he one that can take his game up another notch, do you think, this year?
I hope so. He had a terrific year last year. I think the sky's the limit for Michael. It's going to be a different challenge for him this year, because now everybody knows who he is, and he's got some accolades and preseason stuff, and that comes with some challenges. It's his draft year, so there's other things in place with these juniors that they have to deal with, just besides the fact the game's hard in itself. So I think Mike will be good at managing all that though.
Mike, you touched on this, but last year the coaching staff had to tell these guys what it took to get to Omaha. Now that you have so much experience, how maybe does that change with those guys, how they approach things?
I think it changes everything because we can tell them, but it's just not the same as them experiencing them obviously themselves. And last year's team I think had just such a resolve about it. Where I think 2017, helped 2018. So I'm hoping 2018 will do the same thing and a little different. Obviously, it'll be different. Help us in 2019. But you can't simulate that experience in the locker room. And so when the freshmen are asking the other guys, what it's like, and then they know they can tell them. And there's probably nothing more important than that.
Caden O'Brien had that strong finish there in the College World Series. What are your expectations? Do you have a new role for him? Is he still going to be relief? Or
Caden's one of those that obviously came into his own last year, especially on the biggest stage there at the end, and Caden can do anything for us. He can start for us, we feel like, and we haven't ruled that out. He can pitch in pretty much in any scenario for us. We can bring him in early, middle, late. He's got that capability of throwing multiple innings, but he also recovers pretty well. So as we go into a weekend, you have an arm like Caden O'Brien, you want to get his maximum amount of innings and pitches out of him as you can in a weekend. So we'll see how the starters play out and how we can use him best.
And you got an extension this offseason. How does that feel to know you'll be back for a number of years?
Yeah, that's all good. I'm happy they still want me around.
Coach, as far as the lineup goes and looking at the offensive side, you do lose some guys like Datris and whatnot. And other than Michael Bush, who you got to figure a lot of teams are going to key in on and attack or either lay off him, who are maybe one or two guys that you expect or you hope, I guess, to kind of step up and maybe take control here?
Well, Ike Freeman, I thought had a terrific year for us last year, and drove in over 50 runs. And Ike's, I think Ike's a good player and solidifies us at short. I thought he played terrific for us last year. He's gotten better, I think. And Ashton McGee, he at times last year he struggled, especially to start. But I think at the end of the year last year he was playing exceptionally well and swinging the bat well. So Ashton needs to have a good year for us. Brandon Martirano came into his own last year and ended up starting all those games behind the plate, down the stretch for us, and showed some power. And he's gotten bigger and stronger this year. So you want all those guys, that played last year to be better. And we've got some new guys that have a chance to help us too. So we're going to miss those four offensive players for sure because they had a lot of experience. But we're counting on Ike and Brandon and Michael, of course, and Ashton McGee, Ben Casparius as well to have good seasons for us.
And going off along there with Ashton, because he had such a almost a breakout year. His first year, last year, as you mentioned, kind of struggled up until the midway point. Do you talk with him at all as far as he know what can happen last year and try to get him back to his form? Like you said, he ended the year on a good note.
Yeah, he just experienced what a lot of players do. They have success early and then scouting reports, and you get all these accolades, and you start thinking of maybe not Ashton so much, but you can start thinking it's easier than it actually is, and it's not. So, but I thought he grinded through it pretty well last year mentally. He's pretty unflappable. I know it bothered him to get off to a slow start, but certainly it's how you finish. And I thought he finished well for us last year. So he learned probably a lot about himself and the game and the psychological aspect of the game and hitting. It's hard.
What did you learn about your club these last 3 days during the scrimmages?
Nothing that I really haven't seen, since we've been going all fall. We're right now these scrimmages are about, getting our arms out there and building up their pitch count, me trying to figure out lineups and getting at bats for those guys that I think are going to get them early. Playing some guys in some different positions, that sort of thing. It's mostly just it's reps for us right now, just trying to get on the field and get each one of these guys 45 to 50 at bats before it really counts. So I wouldn't say I've learned anything. I just watch and observe, and it's more right now figuring out, who needs to play where and those sorts of things at this point.
Mike, why has the relationship with you and Scott Forbes been so successful on the mound, and then I guess off the diamond as well over the years?
Well, it's a long-standing one,
Mm-hmm.
and of course I coached him, so I saw him grow up, if you will, and since then it's just been a wonderful journey. I mean, if I had to describe, he's probably the most loyal. He's probably the most loyal person I could probably have in my life outside, my family, and I value that greatly. He's a great person, and he's one of the hardest working people I've ever seen. He's done a lot for me, certainly as the head coach here, but for me personally, because he's got a great perspective on life, and he's never down. He's the same every day, and I mean, he is really the same every day. He's unbelievably disciplined, incredibly fit, and he's just as strong mentally. He's a great Christian man. So I've learned a lot from him, being around him every day. Hopefully, he can say the same about me. But it's I feel lucky to have someone like that. Not only on my staff but in my life.
The way that Berger pitched, especially down the stretch last season, and kind of parlayed that into success on the Cape, just kind of, what's that next step you're kind of looking for from him in his development?
Yeah, it's consistency with Austin. I mean, everybody sees the talent, and we just got to be more consistent. He knows it, we know it, and it's easier said than done. He's got to be able to go out there and pitch up to his his capability. It's that divide between talent and performance, and he'd be the first one to tell you that wasn't the case so much last year as he would have liked for it to be, that I think he's a key. I mean, in Tyler too, everyone, but I think probably Austin's the key to our team being that consistent. I mean, he can give us a start, like he did at NC State, those kind of starts. You're not going to do that every time, but if you can do that, 4 or 5 times out of 6 when you go out there, then it gives us a chance to win, and it saves our bullpen. And I thought last year that our bullpen was a little bit fatigued and worn out at the end of last year, and we want to try to avoid that if we can this year.
What's the outfield look like?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. That's what that's part of the discussions we have after the scrimmages. We have a very deep team, position player wise this year. We've experimented with Michael Bush in left, and you could very well see him out there. We've got to get Aaron Sabato in the lineup somehow. I mean, he's going to play. It's pretty clear for us that right now Aaron Sabato needs to be in the lineup, and he has one position, and that's first base. So you've got to move some guys around, and you can only DH one, of course. So Dylan Harris is a transfer from Walter State, left-handed hitter. He's a really, really good player, experienced, and came from a good program, and I think he's pretty much at this point nailed down center field for us. Got some speed, some power. And then we've got some options. We've put Ashton McGee out and right. We've had Ashton at second. He played left all last year. So we have some versatility. Will Schroeder and Caleb Roberts, 2 freshmen, have been in the outfields as well as Cam Brantley. So we've got a lot of options with this team from a position standpoint.
Ashton played